What's up, guys? I'm Kai the Comic Guy, and today we're diving into one of the most revolutionary comic book runs in Marvel history. What if I told you that for 25 years, Marvel had one of their flagship characters completely wrong? That the Hulk wasn't just a simple mean green smashing machine, but a complex psychological being, often misunderstood, especially if you're only looking at the surface level. Before we peel back the layers of the Hulk, please like and subscribe so we can continue to make videos. This is a story how Peter David took over the Incredible Hulk in 1987. He didn't just change character, he performed psychological surgery on Bruce Banner's mind and revealed something that changed how we think about superheroes forever. Today we're breaking down why Peter David's run, specifically the dynamics between a gray and a green Hulk, represents one of the most important character developments thus far in comics. Later, Immortal Hulk would actually expand on this issue, but we'll save that for part 2. Here's the thing about the Hulk before Peter David. Things have been running much of the same for 2 decades. Banner gets stressed, Banner transforms, Hulk destroys, Hulk smashes, Banner feels guilty, and just rinse and repeat. For 25 years, that was basically it, which, makes some pretty cool stories, but didn't leave much for character development or the evolution of the character himself. Then, here comes Peter David, and he asks a question that seems almost obvious now in hindsight. What if Banner's condition wasn't just about anger? What if it's actually a dissociative identity disorder? And what if there are multiple personalities in there, each with their own motivations, intelligence levels, and moral codes? David's masterstroke was reintroduced in the Grey Hulk. This wasn't just a green Hulk with a different paint job. This was a completely different personality. The Grey Hulk called himself Mr. Fixit, and right there in the name, you can already see the hidden message in David's genius. This wasn't just a monster, this was someone who fixed problems, which seemed to kind of be a pun at David Banner in a sense. Here's what made Grey Hulk special. Initially, he only appeared at night. He was significantly weaker than the Green Hulk. But this part is crucial. He was intelligent, and not just smart, cunning, manipulative, and morally flexible in ways Green Hulk was never really depicted. So how did David execute this psychological masterpiece? So let's break down the 5 fundamental differences between the personalities that prove why David's run was so groundbreaking. Let's start with difference number 1, intelligence and communication. The Green Hulk had some very distinct speech patterns and phrases like Hulk smash or Hulk's strongest one there is. Basic emotional kind of childlike responses driven by pure instinct, right? The Grey Hulk, this guy was running psychological warfare. We see him working as muscle for our Las Vegas casino owner, Michael Getty. And he's not just throwing punches, he's negotiating contracts, planning elaborate schemes, and actually speaking in complete sentences, articulate sentences. Who would have thought? When a rival tries to move in on Getty's territory, the Grey Hulk doesn't just smash the competition, he orchestrates a complex plan involving blackmail, intimidation, and psychological manipulation. That would even make Tony Soprano proud. Difference number 2. Here's where it gets interesting. The Grey Hulk existed in moral gray areas, literally and figuratively. He was willing to work for criminals and pursue personal gains, all over altruistic goals. Pretty human-like, right? In one issue, actually encouraged some thugs to harass a woman. Grey Hulk might have intervened to protect her, along with smashing the entire building. But the Grey Hulk, he calculates whether getting involved serves his interests first. Pretty human-like, right? Later on, the Grey Hulk is asked to solve a problem for Getty. In Incredible Hulk 354, we see him actively participating in morally questionable activities, something that would be completely out of character for his green counterpart. Now, David wasn't just making Grey Hulk evil, he was exploring what happens when someone's moral restraints are removed. The Grey Hulk represented the part of Bruce Banner that was tired of sacrificing his own needs for others. And I think we can all relate to this in some degree. Difference number 3, social relationships. Green Hulk was fundamentally isolated. His childlike nature and destructive power made forming relationships nearly impossible. And always having people coming after you doesn't help much, does it? Throughout David's early issues, we see how Green Hulk's emotional instability and communication limitations prevent him from maintaining any meaningful connections. People feared him, even when he tried to help. But the Grey Hulk actually maintained these relationships. He begins developing a genuine working relationship with Michael Getty. In 353, we see the Grey Hulk forming a romantic relationship with Marlo Chandler, something that might be impossible for either Bruce, who can be neurotic at times, or the Green Hulk, who can kind of be emotionally simple. In the Las Vegas art, we truly see the Grey Hulk functioning in society in a way that the Green Hulk and Bruce Banner even never really could. And this was game changing because David was showing that the Hulk's condition wasn't just about isolation and destruction. It could be about connection and adaptation. Difference number 4, physical limitations and strategy. The Green Hulk's strength was theoretically limitless. It grew with his anger. And we had seen this classic escalation throughout typical Incredible Hulk series, where his rage-fueled incredible strength could reach astronomical levels. The Grey Hulk had a ceiling though. he was strong enough to be dangerous and could take down a kingpin with great ease. Greyhawk was unable to rise to the same level of strength as his green counterpart. Those limitations made the Greyhawk more interesting, not less, because he couldn't just punch his way through every problem. He had to think, he had to plan, he had to strategize. This was displayed later on when the Greyhawk went up against an opponent that he couldn't defeat with brute force alone. He had to use his cunnings and strategy in order to come up on top. The night-only transformation added another layer of tension. Dawn approaches during a crucial confrontation, and the Greyhawk has to race against time, creating dramatic tension that never existed with Green Hulk's unpredictable changes. Difference number 5, personal motivation. The Green Hulk was reactive. He responded to threats and injustices as they appeared. You can see this pattern throughout David's early runs. The Grey Hulk was proactive. He pursued his own agenda, sought out opportunities, and worked towards personal goals. We simply saw this through the Greyhawk actively seeking employment and building life for himself, and he would pursue goals that essentially had nothing to do with the heroics or protecting others. He's trying to find a place where he belongs, where his particular set of skills can be useful, and there had even been times where he had to protect his newfound lifestyle and relationships, not out of heroic duty, but because he's found something he wants to preserve for himself. This shift from reactive heroism to proactive self-interest was revolutionary. David was showing that Hulk's personas could have their own distinct goals and desires, beyond just smashing things or protecting innocence. I think David made the Grey Hulk very relatable at the basic human level, because self-preservation is something that we all have. David didn't have to follow predictable superhero formulas. The Grey Hulk worked for the mob, which challenged every expectation readers had about what a hero should be. I've realized that we're in a time where comic books are being adapted into billion-dollar movies. David's work reminds us that the best superhero stories aren't about powers or costumes, they're about the human condition. The Grey Hulk represented the parts of ourselves we don't like to admit exist. Peter didn't just write Hulk stories, he revolutionized how we think about superhero psychology. If you want to understand why the Incredible Hulk went from being a simple monster to one of Marvel's most psychologically complex series, you need to read Peter David's run. Start with 331 and prepare to have everything you knew about David Banner completely turned upside down. Let me know in the comments, do you think Peter David's psychological approach to the Hulk was revolutionary, or am I overselling it? I personally love the Immortal Hulk myself and would love to cover it. And I ask you all, which existing Marvel hero is the most overdue for a similar revolutionary approach? Sound off in the comments. And guys, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for more deep dives into comic book history. Keep your feet on the ground and your eyes on the stars. Excelsior, my fellow nerds. Kai out.